We're talking about responding to literature this week. So I thought it would be really useful for us to look at three very, very different poetry picture books. And my daughter, Addy, is going to join us, and we're going to get to see somebody actually respond to some literature. Now, just as a reminder, Addy's responses are not necessarily the responses of all kids. She's not the same as everybody else. She's had different experiences. So why don't we tell you a little bit about Addy before we get going. Addy, how old are you?
I'm 3.
She's 3. She's 3 and a half. She'll be 4 in October. And what's your favorite thing to play?
My doll.
What doll?
My Captain Marvel doll.
Oh, your Captain Marvel doll. What's so cool about Captain Marvel?
That she has her goose.
Oh, because she has Goose, her cat, Flurkin in the backpack. Very cool. What's your favorite book?
I don't know.
Do you like to read?
I'm not just so sure
You're not so sure about what?
what my favorite one is.
Do you have, like, 2 favorites?
Not really. I only have one kind. I don't know what my one kind is.
Oh, okay. If you were going to pick a favorite book, why would you pick it?
Because I like reading.
Oh, okay. So we're going to read 3 different books with you today. The first one is Honey, I Love. It's by... Oh yeah, the second one is The House That Crack Built. And the third one is Robert Frost, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. We're going to start with Honey, I Love. And this is a poem by Eloise Greenfield. And it's been illustrated by Jan Spivey Gilchrist. Addy, can you see it okay if I read it this way?
I can see that.
Okay, perfect. All right, Honey, I Love. I love a lot of things, a whole lot of things, like, Addy, can you focus on? My cousin comes to visit, and you know he's from the South, because every word he says just kind of slides right up his mouth. Addy, can you focus on the books?
Yeah.
I like the way he whistles, and I like the way he walks, but honey, let me tell you that I love the way he talks. I love the way my cousin talks. And, Addy, what do you like about this book? What?
This one.
What, that girl?
This part.
Oh, well then will you say it with me? The day is hot and icky, and the sun sticks to my skin. Mr. Davis turns the hose on. Everybody jumps right in.
His cousin.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is her cousin. The water stings my stomach, and I feel so nice and cool. Honey, let me tell you that I love a flying pool. I love to feel a flying pool. And Renee comes out to play and brings her doll without a dress. I make a dress with paper, and that doll sure looks a mess. Addy, put it down, please. It's distracting. We laugh so long and loud and hard the doll falls to the ground. Honey, let me tell you that I love that laughing sound. I love to make the laughing sound. And my uncle's car is crowded, and there's lots of food to eat. We're going down the country where the church folks like to meet.
You're hurting me.
I'm sorry. Can you please keep your book down? I'm looking out the window at the cows and trees outside. Honey, let me tell you that I love to take a ride. I love to take a family ride. And My mama's on the sofa sewing buttons on my coat. I go and sit beside her. I'm done playing with my boat. I hold her arm and kiss it, 'cause it feels so soft and warm. Honey, let me tell you that I love my mama's arm. I love to kiss my mama's arm. And it's not so late at night, but I'm lying in my bed. I guess I need my rest. At least that's what my mama said. She told me not to cry, 'cause she don't want to hear a peep. Honey, let me tell you, I don't love to go to sleep. I do not love to go to sleep. But I love a lot of things, a whole lot of things. And honey, I love me too. Do you like that one?
Yeah.
What do you like best about that one?
The part where it sings with Tony.
Oh, why do you like that part?
Because of the sun part. It's a great summer story.
Oh, good summer story? Yeah, and in the middle of summer right now, it's a good time to read it, huh?
You can read this one here.
Okay. So the next book we're going to read is really, really different from Honey I Love. It's called The House That Crack Built. It's by Clark Taylor and illustrated by Jan Thompson Dix. And this is a book that's based on a nursery rhyme called The House That Jack Built. It's in the same format and the same rhyme scheme, but it's about drug abuse. So you might be wondering why I'm reading it to my 3.5-year-old. I think books like this are a really good way to address these kinds of things with kids. And she has found it applicable to parts of her life. She has her grandma does foster care, so she knows a little bit about kids that she plays with whose families have been touched by drug abuse, and this has been a valuable way for us to have some of those conversations. So this is The House That Crack Built. Do you remember any of this one? Will you say it with me? You're being really distracting. You ready? This is the house that Crack built.
I can't see.
This is the man who lives in the house that Crack built. These are the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built. Tapping out the rhythm. These are the farmers who work in the heat and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built. These are the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built. This is the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built. This is the street of a town in pain that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built. This is the gang, fleet and elite, that rules the street of a town in pain that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built. We can't see, honey.
I can't.
This is the cop working his beat who battles the gang, fleet and elite that rules the street of a town in pain that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that Crack built.
I mean, what that girl looks like.
Oh, you're moving your body to look like her body? Why do you think she's like that?
Maybe she fell off
Maybe. This is the boy feeling the heat, chased by the cop, working his beat, who battles the gang, fleet, and elite, that rules the street of a town in pain. I think you're right. That cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't
Eat.
Raised by the farmers who work in the and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that crack built. And this is the crack that numbs the pain, bought from the boy feeling the heat, chased by the cop, working his beat, who battles the gang, fleet and elite, that rules the streets of a town in pain, that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat. Because picking your nose is a little yucky and people don't really want to watch you eat your boogers. Raised by the farmers who work in the heat, and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that crack built. This is the girl who's killing her brain, smoking the crack that numbs the pain, bought from the boy feeling the heat, chased by the cop, working his beat, who battles the gang, fleet and elite, and rules the street of a town in pain, that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat, and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that crack built. What's happening in this picture?
She's killing her brain.
Yeah, how can you tell?
Because she has this in her hair.
What do you think that is?
I don't know.
It's called a crack pipe. That's what she uses to smoke that drug that's not being good for her brain. Do you think her head is really upside down?
No.
Why did they draw it like that?
Maybe it was because she's killing her brain.
It's a pretty good guess. Yeah, I think it's a way to show us that what she's doing is messing with her head, right? And this is the baby with nothing to eat, born of a girl who's killing her brain, smoking the crack that numbs the pain, bought from the boy feeling the heat, chased by the cop, working his beat, who battles the gang, fleet and elite, that rules the street of a town in pain, that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat, and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that crack built. And these are the tears we cry in our sleep, that fall for the baby with nothing to eat, born of the girl who's killing her brain, smoking the crack that numbs the pain, bought from the boy feeling the heat, chased by the cop, working his beat, who battles the gang, fleet and elite, that rules the street of a town in pain, that cries for the drug known as cocaine, made from the plants that people can't eat, raised by the farmers who work in the heat, and fear the soldiers who guard the man who lives in the house that crack built. The end. There's an afterword here that talks about the issue that's addressed, and there's also some resources in the back for people struggling with addiction. So that's the book. Pay attention maybe to some of the ways that Addy reacted and interacted with that book. And then we're going to look at the last one, which is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. So this poem was written in 1923 by Robert Frost. It's a very famous American poem. And Addy, we're done with that one. Can you put it on the floor? It's a very famous American poem, and it was not originally released with illustrations. The illustrations here were by Susan Jeffers, and they were created about 50 years after the poem was first published. So, I had a conversation with Addy earlier when we were looking at this book. I asked her if these are the only pictures that can go with this, or if someone else could make different pictures. And she wasn't really sure at first. She didn't understand what I meant. She thought I was asking if someone could draw in the book, which is different. So we talked about how if I gave her paper, she could make her own illustrations for this story, and I wonder if they would be different. But let's go ahead and look at Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, the poem by Robert Frost, illustrated by Susan Jeffers. Ready, Addy Bear?
I'm going to go get some water for myself.
Let's just finish this poem real quick, okay? Right. So we start out with this image of a kind of Santa Claus-y looking man all bundled up for the winter with some farm animals. And the animals are a big, big part of these pictures. I forgot to remind you, Addy, that when we're looking through this book, you can kind of peek and see some animals hiding in the pictures. This is the title page. Addy, can you just stay for this song? Honey, it's not going to be quick because it's all the way downstairs. Can you just sit down for this poem and then we'll go get water together? Have a seat, please. It's not. It's a quick story. Real quick. It's fine. Okay. Make sure you're looking at the pictures, though, not just looking at yourself. Ready? Whose woods these are, I think I know. Over here, Addy Bear, the book's behind you.
Oh.
His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. Are there any animals in this picture?
It's the owl.
Yeah.
Just like it kind of looks like my owl.
Oh,
Hedwig.
yeah, you do have an owl named Hedwig. What's the same between Hedwig and this owl?
Because he has...
You turn around and point on this book, honey. It has what?
White.
Yeah. Hedwig is a snowy owl, too.
He's making a snow angel.
I think you're right, and all the animals are flying and running away. Do you think he was kind of loud or maybe moved suddenly?
Maybe he moved suddenly.
My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Oh, I see some hiding bunnies. Can you find one? A lot of hiding bunnies. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. Any other animals, Addy?
Seal.
I don't think it's a seal. I think it's a weasel or a ferret or something.
Or
He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. What's he doing now?
Hey, I think.
Wonder why. The only other sounds, the sweet of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. What did he do with all that stuff he was carrying?
Look at that.
I wonder why. What do you think it's for?
Maybe something animal.
Maybe for the animals? They might like to eat it. So he's helping them out.
Maybe they may not want to eat. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. But I have promises to keep. And miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. So, Addy, I have 2 questions for you.
What?
Number 1, which one of those books is your favorite? Can you tell me?
Honey, I love.
Why do you like Honey I Love the best?
Because all of the honeys.
Oh, you like the way she keeps saying honey? What do you think about the pictures?
I love them more.
Can you just answer my second question? Right. Why is Honey I Love your favorite?
I love all the honey.
Because of all the honeys. Okay. Well, thank you so much for reading these books with us today, Addy. And you want to say goodbye?
No, I'm a little shy.
Now you're feeling shy? Okay. How about we just look together? We say bye.
Bye.